Hello everyone, welcome to today's story. The sunlight filtered through pomelo leaves, scattering gold across the kitchen floor. The fan ticked softly, cicadas hummed like a faraway memory. In this quiet afternoon, Tuna moved between the clay stove and the table, the smell of rice wrapping around her shoulders like a gentle shawl. Henry slept inside, one small hand spread on the blanket, the kind of peace that felt borrowed, not owned. Then a car engine hummed down the village road. A gray car stopped, carrying within it something heavier than its weight. Alex stepped out, white shirt rolled to his elbows, opening the door for his mother. She carried a basket tied with banana leaves, part offering, part question, part bridge. That afternoon, 3 lives would meet again, not to argue, but to remember how peace is built, one bowl at a time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The truth is just beginning to unfold. The gray car's door shut with a small thud that scattered silence like birds. Alex's mother stood at the threshold, her shadow stretching across the bamboo porch. Tuna wiped her hands on her apron, hiding the tremor beneath small gestures. "Hello, ma'am," she said, voice both careful and sincere. The older woman smiled, not widely, but enough to fold the edges of distance. "I heard your leg is healed. I wanted to see for myself." Inside, the house smelled of boiled rice, grapefruit peel, and drying clothes. A folded blanket by Henry's bed, a vase of tiny white flowers, sunlight slicing through the wooden window slats. Alex moved aside, allowing the 2 women space to see one another fully. They stood, quiet at first, a silence too polite to breathe. Then his mother's voice broke it softly. "Your home is tidy." "I keep busy," Tuna answered, "so the room won't feel empty." The basket opened. Pickled eggplants, dried shrimp, fish caramelized black with pepper. "Have you started lunch?" "I'm preparing grapefruit soup," Tuna replied. "Let me help," said the old woman, asking permission the way one asks for forgiveness. Tuna nodded. "I'd be happy for that." The kitchen became music. The rhythm of knife against board, the hiss of lemongrass, the whisper of fire breathing under clay. Alex crouched by the stove, feeding slender sticks into the flame, the smoke rising orange like papaya flesh. His mother stirred, Tuna chopped, and for a moment, time stood still between the sound of boiling water and the pulse of their hearts. "Do you like spicy food?" the old woman asked. "A little," Tuna said, "but I prefer sour thing, they're gentler." Alex exhaled through a faint laugh. "Seems you 2 agree on important matters." Both women looked at him, startled, then burst into an unplanned laugh. Fragile, human, forgiving. At noon, the bamboo table gleamed under sunlight. Sour soup, sticky fish, quick vegetables glistening with oil. A bowl of red chili, a flag in still air. When they sat down, it wasn't just a meal, it was an unspoken treaty. Alex watched, sensing something invisible reassembling. Not loudly, but the way a crack closes under heat. In the faint hum of the fan and cicadas, steam curled like prayer. Each small motion, each breath, rebuilt a home from the silence they once feared. The first bite of fish landed in the porcelain bowl with a small, deliberate sound, the kind that quiets even thought. Alex sat across from them, his heart pacing the rhythm of the ticking fan. His mother lifted a slice of caramelized fish and, without hesitation, placed it gently into Tuna's bowl. The gesture was simple, yet it carried the weight of a decade's silence. "When you fell," she said quietly, "I was worried. I blamed myself for not coming sooner." Tuna's eyes lowered. Her voice trembled between breath and memory. "I understand. Everyone is scared." The old woman reached across the table, resting her fingers over Tuna's hand, a bridge made of skin, warmth, and quiet forgiveness. "The important thing," she whispered, "is that you're okay now." Outside, the orchard swayed under heavy summer air. Inside, the sunlight rippled on their faces, soft and forgiving. Henry stirred in the next room, murmuring a dream word. They turned toward the sound, and in that brief glance, all three barriers fell. When he woke, Henry blinked at the unfamiliar figure before him, the grandmother he barely knew. "Let me hold him," she asked. Tuna hesitated, then nodded. Henry clutched her sleeve, small fingers learning trust by touch. A smile, small but complete, bloomed on his face, two tiny white teeth like grains of rice. Laughter filled the house, hesitant at first, then effortless. It wasn't loud, it was alive. Later, on the porch, they sipped grapefruit leaf tea under the amber afternoon. The mother fanned herself, each click of the fan hinge like a punctuation mark between thoughts. "It's sweet," she said. "Not from sugar," Tuna replied. "Maybe it absorbed sunlight on the way in." They smiled, three soft silhouettes in the slow-burning light. Henry crawled toward the door, slapping his palms on the bamboo floor. "Careful," Tuna called, half kneeling. He stopped at the threshold, grinned, and turned, that single grin scattering every leftover doubt in the room. "You two have endured so much," the old woman said. "I know it's not easy." "It's softer now," Tuna replied. "We're learning to slow down," Alex added. "Peace takes longer to find than pain," said his mother. "That's why peace is more valuable." The tea spiraled in their cups, tracing honey-colored circles. In the space between sips and smiles, they understood. Forgiveness isn't granted all at once. It's brewed slowly, like tea cooling in sunlight. The room exhaled. The day leaned toward gentleness, and in that quiet moment, with the sound of wind in the orchard and Henry's laughter circling back to them, everything changed. Afternoon settled into its golden rhythm, a hush that carried weight and tenderness alike. Alex's mother rose, smoothing her blouse, her eyes bright with a thought she hadn't spoken in years. "Next time," she said softly, "come to my house. I'll cook. A table shouldn't grow cold after a meal." Tuna's smile came easily this time. "I'd love to." The house glowed with the aftertaste of warmth, the soft hum of a fan, the clean scent of dishes turned upside down to dry. Henry played with his wooden spoon, beating tiny rhythms on the mat like a drummer announcing peace. Then the mother's voice, steady yet vulnerable, crossed the room. "When trouble comes again, don't protect me with silence. I'd rather worry with you than guess alone." Alex and Tuna exchanged a glance, instinctive, united. "Agreed," they said together. The moth on the screen fluttered once, as if sealing the pact. They cleaned up slowly. Alex folded the mat in thirds. Tuna brushed off the dust. Gestures so simple yet sacred. Henry yawned, rubbed his eyes, and climbed into his grandmother's lap. She hummed a tune that belonged not to the radio, but to the kitchen. The melody of a spoon stirring soup, of fire whispering in clay, of rice rinsed clean in water. The sound was ancestral, and it softened every breath in the room. When she finally stood to leave, the sky had turned the color of apricot. At the gate, she turned back once more. "One more thing," she said. "Don't rush your writing. Let it happen at its own pace. Set the table and keep it warm." Alex nodded. "We will." The car door closed with a final, tender echo. Through the glass, she mouthed something, almost there. Their lips moved in reply. Almost. When the car disappeared into the distance, silence filled the house. Not the emptiness of absence, but the wideness of a room newly opened. They didn't move. Alex stood behind Lytuna, close enough that his breath mingled with her hair. Henry's head rested beneath her chin, his sigh small yet grounding. For a long time, they simply looked at the alley, at nothing visible, but everything understood. "Are you okay?" Alex asked quietly. "I'm fine," she said. "I feel like the furniture inside me has been rearranged today." He chuckled. "Me too." They walked back into the house. The bamboo table stood bare, but glowing under twilight. Teacups lined up like little soldiers, still warm from the last touch. Alex lit a lamp. It answered with a soft coin of light. He set it where the dishes had been, and the light didn't shine. It continued. "Dinner?" he asked with a teasing smile. "Maybe later," she replied. "Let's keep this hour a little longer." They sat in the same chairs where his mother had been, Henry between them, dozing. His hand rested on Alex's wrist, his cheek against Lytuna's arm, a wordless command that said, "Stay." "I'm scared," Alex confessed. "Not of her, just of this space. I can't predict it." Lytuna smiled faintly. "Then we'll learn it again. We'll bump elbows. We'll laugh. We'll keep the table warm." Outside, the last light brushed the orchard, a soft lid closing over the day. The cicadas yielded to the crickets, no protest, no ceremony. Peace, at last, was not an arrival. It was a practice. Night came slowly, like tea cooling in porcelain. The air outside thickened with the scent of fruit and distant rain. Inside, the lamp hummed softly, its circle of light holding what the day had left behind. Crumbs of rice, the faint smell of salt, the warmth of 3 lives newly in tune. Henry stirred in his sleep, his small hand opening and closing as if still holding the crispy rice from earlier. Lytuna watched him, her eyes calm, unhurried. Across from her, Alex sat quietly, tracing the rim of a teacup, feeling the imprint of his mother's fingers that had been there hours ago. He whispered, almost to himself, "It feels different now." Lytuna nodded. "Because peace has hands, too. It touches everything when we stop fighting it." Outside, the orchard swayed gently, leaves shimmering like low murmurs. A single moth lingered near the lamp, its wings trembling against the glass. It had been there since afternoon, fragile but persistent, drawn to warmth more than brightness. Alex watched it hover, smiled faintly. "It stayed," he said. "So did we," Lytuna replied. The fan ticked once, then twice, like an old clock keeping its own kind of time. Somewhere in the village, a dog barked, and a rooster answered too early. The world, it seemed, was learning to breathe again. They didn't speak much after that. There was no need to. Words had done their part. Now silence carried the rest. They left the door ajar for the night wind, placed a bowl by the window to catch tomorrow's sun, and between 2 cups left a piece of crisp rice, a relic of tenderness disguised as something ordinary. When the light finally dimmed, Alex reached across the table, his hand brushing hers. No vows, no promises, just the quiet understanding that peace, once found, must be kept alive like a small fire. Outside, the night deepened into stillness, and the last line of sunlight withdrew from the bamboo floor. The table remained, warm, empty, waiting. Perhaps that is how love endures, not by clinging, but by staying gentle enough to be found again tomorrow.
Trong buổi trưa hè, khi nắng vàng rơi trên mái hiên, Alex đưa mẹ đến thăm Lytuna và bé Henry, ba người từng chia cắt bởi im lặng và vết thương cũ cuối cùng cũng ngồi bên mâm cơm giản dị, bữa cơm chua, cá kho, cơm trắng, từng cử chỉ nhỏ, một miếng cá gấp nhẹ, nụ cười đặc kẻ, một lát trà thơm, ngọn cách giòn hàn gắn. Buổi trưa khép lại lời dặn đứng im để bảo vệ mẹ và hãy nói. Trước khi chiếc xe rời đi, căn nhà không còn trống trải mà đầy hơi thở bình yên trên một bàn cơm giản dị.